Okay, so we're going to turn this plain, ugly piece of furniture into something rustic and really pretty. And as you can see, it opens from the top. It's sort of a dry sink, and it has this storage in the bottom. It is an old piece, but for today we're going to work on the outside, and we're going to start with the color red. This marquee, which is a really pretty red. It's not too crazy bright, but I feel like I haven't painted red in a while. So we're going to start with red, and then we're going to add other things to this piece also. So now that we have our piece all painted up in red, I want to add a different color to a little bit to the front of the doors, because I am going to be adding some decoupage paper on the doors, and I want the background to be a little bit lighter. So I am using the same brush that I used my red. I always use the same brush for all the colors. I feel like the blending starts already in the brush, and I love to blend. You can use a different brush if you want. I will just keep adding a little bit more of this sandy blonde. So the next thing we're going to do is choose decoupage paper of the pattern of your choice. I chose vintage wallpaper. That's what I'm using right here. It's recycled decoupage paper. And I'm just going to cut it because these are 20 by 30 and I need it to fit in the door, the front of the doors. So I'm just going to cut the paper in half, and then I'm actually going to tear it because I want it to really look like vintage wallpaper on this piece of furniture on the front doors. So I am going to cut it smaller, and then I'm going to tear it, and then we're going to put it on here. So next order of business, now that you've torn your paper and you kind of have it on the piece just to see what it's going to look like, you're going to use some Mod Podge or any type of glue like Mod Podge to adhere your paper onto the surface that it's going on. You want to make sure that you get the glue on there evenly, because if you don't, you're going to get air bubbles. So you definitely want to make sure that you get enough glue on there. You don't have to go crazy with it, but you want to make sure it goes on all the surface where your paper is going to go. And by the way, now that you've torn your paper, you want to make sure that you save the extra pieces, because I don't know if you knew this, but you can also layer with the decoupage paper. So make sure to save it. We'll have a video on that at some point. And once you get that decoupage paper on the surface, you kind of just want to make sure you just flatten it down to smooth out some of the wrinkles with the same brush that you used to apply the glue with. Also, you're going to want to use that same glue on top of that paper just to make sure it seals in there really good. This glue is also a sealant, so we're going to just seal the top of this paper with the glue. And what you did to one side of the door, if you happen to have a piece with two doors or two sides, you're going to do on the other side as well, as in this case here. So for that weathered look, we're going to use salt wash, and I'm going to mix my salt wash with the sandy blonde that I used previously to put behind the decoupage paper. So salt wash is a super easy product to use. It doesn't have any color, it's just powdery, and you mix it with your paint. And the way you know if you mixed it correctly, the ratio of paint to salt wash, is that it should have the consistency of cake batter or frosting. If you put too much salt wash, it becomes crumbly and it's hard to spread. So then you know you've put too much salt wash and you could add more paint. So it's great. You can use salt wash with chalk paint, latex paint, even oil-based paint, which I've never tried oil-based paint. I don't think I have planned to either. But this is perfect. So this is going to give this piece this weathered look. kind of like this, uh, I want this piece to look like it's really old. So we're just going to mix that salt wash with the sandy blonde, and then we're just going to dab it on. And this is a product that you do need to let dry overnight before, or not overnight, you just need to let it dry before you do your next step. Okay, so for some reason I decided to add a little bit of green branches. Um, but anyways, you're going to keep applying the salt wash in all the areas that you want this texture to be on. You can do the whole piece this way, you can just put it in certain areas. Okay, so now that the salt wash is dried, where I am going to blend a little bit more. I want to add some color on top of to the salt wash texture. I'm going to mix in some reds, the marquee, same marquee, and some petal pusher color. It's a blue, it's a pretty blue, and I'm just gonna just mix and blend, and I'm gonna go all the way around, all over where the texture is, and also a little bit on the decoupage paper. So for the sides of this piece, I'm just gonna sand the salt wash a little bit. This is the thing you can do with salt wash. It does form peaks, and so sometimes you just might want to sand that down a little bit so it's not so rough. And so after sanding this down a little bit, because I did go a little bit heavy on the sides, I am going just to continue blending with my colors. So while my paint is still wet on the side, I'm going to use the Iron Orchid Design, I believe this is called the Crackler stamp, to go over, put it over my wet paint. So it adds a little bit like the paint is cracking. It's just a little bit of extra texture, and it's not like it's crazy obvious, but you can see it when you get close. I think it's pretty. So this is what salt wash looks like when it's dry, and I am going to, it's got the paints on there, the blending, I just want to sand it a little bit, sand it down a little bit with just a soft sanding sponge. So one of the last things we're going to do is use this product called Would You Bend, and it's a wood that you actually can bend once you heat it up with a heat gun. So a blow dryer won't work. Just make sure you have a heat gun if you're planning on using this product. And as you can see, once it starts heating up, you can bend it, and it's great for molding just making pieces more decorative. This piece did have a longer part to it on the bottom that I don't need to use, so we cut that off, and we're going to just heat this up so that we can bend it and put it on this piece the way we want to. You can put your decorative molding onto your piece with just regular wood glue, and then you just paint it from there. So after putting some golden ticket in certain areas of this piece, especially the decorative piece, that wood you bend that we put on here, the last thing I need to do is seal this because it is chalk paint. So you do want to make sure you seal it just to protect it. I used Debbie's Design Diary Clear wax to seal this whole piece. And you will see that I'm going to sprinkle throughout some dark and decrepit dust in certain areas just to give it that old vintagey look. I was out of the dark wax, but that's okay because I had the dark and decrepit powder, which you just sprinkle on top of the wax and just kind of blend it in, and it does the same trick. So this is how we're going to make this piece look like it's a bit older than it is, even though it is old. And here we have the finished piece. She is ready to go. She looks so pretty and so much better than she did before, just plain, and now she has texture and color and a little bit of gold, and I don't know, I just love the way she looks. So this is it for now until the next video. So if you want to see more, please hit that subscribe button and the notification button. Yeah, I always forget to say that. But I'd love to see you in the next video. Thank you.